there needs to be alternative options available that aren't restricted or full of additives. Come on, people.
Has to be. And learning how to use the plant safely and effectively and efficiently for each individual's needs, because everybody's different, is as easy as putting butter and syrup on pancakes.
Oh my God, I love you.
Take the time to invest in your own education so that you can take care of your own health without being practiced on by Big Pharma.
Welcome to Season 6 of the Cannabis Truth Podcast, where we speak the language of cannabis freely and uncensored while educating our audience on safe use of this live plant therapy. You should know what's in your cannabis, what's good and what's not, because cannabis does not come with an FDA stamp of approval, yet. The information you will find here comes straight from scientists and clinicians, doing the work and reporting their findings in reputable outlets. Hopefully, we can inspire you to research the facts as we know them today. Cannabis is an amazing alternative in health remedies, with the potential to alleviate typical disease problems and troubling side effects, even those caused by synthetic prescriptions. Here now is the host of the Cannabis Truth Podcast. She is a 21st century cannabis shaman, not a doctor, not a scientist. Raised by nuns and wolves in the verdant cattle pastures of the Oklahoma oil fields, here to amplify the truth of this great big story of cannabis in historical, political, scientific, and spiritual terms, so you can make educated decisions about the medicine you choose to ingest. Please welcome Honey Smith-Walls.
Monica Olano, welcome to the Cannabis Truth Podcast, and thank you, honey, for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Girl, I can't wait for our audience to hear your story.
I am loving your energy so much. It is beautiful, it is wonderful, and I'm soaking it all in right now.
Thank you. This energy is a result of gentle cannabinoid plant therapy for the past decade, replacing all of that unnecessary polypharmacy that I was using.
Okay. Yeah.
Anxiety and IBS and sleeping and waking and focus and muscle relaxation and anxiety. 7 things I just named that all women live through all their lives.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
And we take pharmaceuticals for that. Big pharma, prescription medicines. We go to the doctor and let our doctor tell us that we stubbed our toe or put a splinter in our finger.
Yeah, it's wild, isn't it?
My cat. I'm sorry. Hang on, everybody. Let me see if I can control this. Do you hear them?
It's okay.
5 dogs and 2 big fat cats, and maybe somebody in the house just got up. All right, y'all. Come on now.
Oh my gosh, that is a lot.
We're working.
Where are you based out of?
Honey, I used to live in Florida for the past 35 years. Stop, baby. But my spouse died a couple of years ago, and my kid, my only child, wanted me, thank goodness. And so I came up to Michigan to live with him and his remaining 2 little kids that are just the most adorable thing on the planet.
Amazing.
11, And and he's got 2 other grown kids in the Navy. Brother and sister Navy on either side of the U.S. And
wow.
They're going to hook up somewhere together. Can you imagine the stories they're going to be telling for the rest of their lives?
No, what a time. Well, thank them for their service, especially with everything going on right now.
So I'm up in Michigan in Orchard Territory, about 50 miles north of Detroit. And Michigan is recreational. But I came from the last
Florida.
In Florida, where it's been medical only. And wow, what a different philosophy. Tell us, where are you, and tell us how you got into all of this wonderful tribe that you and I belong to on LinkedIn.
Okay, so I am based in New Orleans. Well, like technically right outside. I'm like 2 miles from the city line, but I'm New Orleans based.
Oh.
And I have been here for 18 years this year. So I moved. I never thought New Orleans was permanent, but going on 18 years. I'm originally from Iowa, so Midwest. I love it. I love that you're in the Midwest. But Iowa is very similar to what you referenced in Florida, both Iowa and Louisiana, where we are a medical only, and even that's relatively recent. But I will say how we came together on LinkedIn is a very convoluted story over the years, but to simplify it down to not bore everybody, in almost 3 years ago to the date, yesterday, my twins turned 3. And that was kind of the catalyst for how all this began. So I had 3 kids in 18 months. My twins were number 2 and 3, and went in to give birth. And my son came out one push. My daughter, everything that could go wrong, like went wrong just in the flash. And you don't know those moments are going to change your life. And you find out later because of that day, everything changed. Luckily, we're all okay. It was very traumatic. We had a lot of issues the first year. And most of the stuff I found out was from like pulling my own medical records, having to ask questions. They kind of did a cover your ass thing and really didn't. So you imagine I get emergency C-section put under. The first pictures with my kids, I have no memory of. Apparently, they brought me out of the recovery room 2.5 hours later and put the babies on me, and I have pictures. No memory of the first 24 hours, like with my twins, and just all this trauma, right? And they just send you home with trauma. 3 kids under 18 months. The daughter with the birth issues ended up having we got her diagnosed at 8 months old with sensory processing disorder. She's doing really well now, but it was a very rough. So needless to say, all this was going on. The only way I knew how to cope ever in my entire life was alcohol. I had always reached for alcohol. And yes, had I used it in the sense of what's regular in the past? Of course, but I was still very functional, not like depending on it. And that was just my go-to escape. And I was spiraling in postpartum depression. I wouldn't even let my kids for the first year. I didn't want them to touch me. I was like, don't let those things. It was awful. And you don't know you're trying to survive with like wine. And it was just, I can talk about it now, but man, that first year. And so my mom's a nurse, and my mom came down when the twins were about 3 months old. And she's like, this just isn't right. Like, this is postpartum. I need you to go talk to the doctor. And so they wanted to put me on Xanax, Wellbutrin, and Lexapro.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And so we tried, and therapy. She's like, you need to go to therapy. She's like, I'm the psychiatrist. I can do this. And so it was touch and go with medicines, and started therapy. And finally, I forget exactly when, maybe when my kids were like 8 or 9 months old, I was like, nothing's working. I have everything you could possibly imagine on paper. I have the perfect husband, the perfect house, this beautiful life, 3 great kids. And I was miserable, no matter the medicine, the therapy. And so finally I was like, well, I guess I'll give booze a break. They keep saying no booze. And so getting off the booze. And then that's the first time I started introducing like cannabis edibles. I got my medical card, and I was doing like low dose edibles to still have something, because I had tried smoking in the past, but I can't smoke. I get so high so quickly, so anxious, so paranoid. I'm miserable. And so I found out later that alcohol I loved because the dopamine. I have a huge dopamine issue, which only came out because I got off of it. I used cannabis to get off of it. I went to therapy. And so that's kind of how, I edged off. But then that was April of 23. So it was right as the hemp beverages were coming out. And so I started drinking those. I remember having people over for a 4th of July. I was only 3 months off alcohol in one of the booziest cities. My husband's a bar owner. in New Orleans, and we're having this big party at our house for 4th of July. My neighbors are doctors and lawyers. And I'm like, oh God. And
all drinkers.
yeah, it was just really all that was like, kind of started coming together. Like, okay, they're wondering why I'm not drinking alcohol, but the more I'm learning, I'm wondering why they are drinking alcohol. And there was a little bit of stigma, but it wasn't too bad. And then the idea came to do a podcast later that year after meeting. We met with one of the distributors at my husband's bar, and we're talking about this. And I'm just like, man, like nobody's talking about these hemp beverages yet. And they are a huge, huge help. And this was December of 23. And I was like, I'm just going to start a podcast of two moms because I'd gotten another mom off wine, elder millennial moms, upper middle class, like everything you wouldn't expect to talk about cannabis, that we don't drink wine, now we use this. And my friend had to back out of it because she's a licensed psychologist and her husband's emergency room doctor. And she's like, even though they're federally legal,
threatened.
Yeah, she's like, this would risk our livelihood. And I'm like, I get it, but that's just everything started dinging for me. Like, this isn't right. Like, and then the research. And then I interviewed, my first podcast episode was with Joyce Gerber, the Canna Mom.
Oh my gosh.
Very first.
Oh my gosh.
Who,
she's fabulous.
Yes. And so I'm telling her everything and this and that and how I'm going to market it this way and market it that way, because this was just going to be a fun project at the time. And she's like, honey, you need to get on LinkedIn because you're going to get blocked everywhere else. LinkedIn's where everyone is talking. And so I got on LinkedIn. At the time, I honestly didn't know the difference really between cannabis and hemp. So I have this weird world of like both sides. But I just started realizing like, they're not structured. They're not organized. And my pattern recognition, and this was January of 24, knew exactly the economic potential, knew exactly how this impacts women, knew exactly the demographic that was going to be buying it, which is a massive demographic, and how it was going to impact alcohol sales. And I was like, if they don't unite against alcohol, they're going to get railroaded the same way other industries have been. And it's going to be the same way when big tobacco was going down and they pivoted over to big food. And now look at our food system and what our kids have. And so it just started out as this big mission of, we've got to stop this hemp from being controlled by the systems that don't have anyone's best interests at heart. And you know, I was the perfect example of what all these brands would want so they were all talking to me, but I was like, well, what are you doing like politically in the background? And it just spiraled into all of this, which I still don't know what it is, but I'm on a mission to change the world. And that's how I got here.
Yes. It's so freaking exciting, isn't it? There's just so much work to do. And yet it feels like pleasure and fun to me.
Yeah, honey knows.
Hi, Honey Smith Walls here. I'm host of the Cannabis Truth Podcast, weekly for the past 6 years. But today I'm inviting you to a Facebook group called the Holistic Relief Summit, in hopes that you too will come for the peace and stay for the epiphanies. It's a beautiful space for women to find all kinds of relief from all kinds of suffering. Come join us for free.
Well, hello, I'm Dr. Philip Blair, and I want to introduce you to Honey Smith Walls. And she recently had an experience with beta-caryophyllene.
For years, I've been dealing with lots of arthritis pain and pain from neuropathy that has not been resolved through other prescriptive methods. As an advocate educator in the cannabis industry, I learn lots of interesting information about the compounds within the plants. And one of those turned out to be beta-caryophyllene.
What was your first dose like?
I was gobsmacked. Absolutely gobsmacked. It has given me my future back.
I want to get it out to everybody too. I want to get it out to the whole world. As a matter of fact, it has so many mitigating factors for all the stresses of life and pain and diseases. It is unbelievable, the spectrum of care that it can provide.
I can't even listen to the news anymore. I can't.
Yeah.
I get filtered through my really close friends who just give me a global, PBS sort of a view.
Yeah.
And I just have to put my head down and one foot in front of the other and keep going because it's just gotten too fucking crazy, pardon my French.
No, you're okay. I tell people that all the time. I'm like, look, by the time it's made it to a major news source, there's a narrative they're pushing. There's so much that has already happened behind the scenes that this is just what they're wanting to tell you for a very specific reason. And so I'm worried about the things that are 6 months behind. Like I'm back here focusing on what's actually happening behind closed doors before it makes it to the news. And it's funny because I've been doing this for like a year and a half now. And the amount of texts and calls I'm getting from people, and they're like, hey, I just heard something you told me like a year and a half ago. And I was like, yeah, and now you can't do anything about it. So you probably should have listened when I was telling you because now you're being fed a narrative. But it's just so hard because that's all we've known, right? And until you have something that triggers your wake up or triggers a reason to look differently or triggers a reason to get out of your protective bubble, right, you would have to start questioning your entire framework and your structure. And I get that that's hard for people.
It's real hard to accept that we've been gaslighted for 100 years by our own government and who are in bed with big corporate to deny us this plant because they are so afraid of it overtaking alcohol, overtaking big pharma, overtaking cotton, overtaking alcohol, overtaking so many things, paper.
Yeah.
William Hearst, one of the first to get in bed with what's his name? Anslinger. Yeah. Harry Anslinger.
Yeah. It's it threatens the system of control that's been in place for generations.
And there's still threats going on, like to your friends who couldn't do the podcast. Tell our audience what the name of your podcast is, and you may need to explain it a little bit.
Well, it's Cali Sober Mom is the name of the podcast. It started as Mommy's New Medicine.
I love that.
And then it's since evolved, but it's not the huge focus anymore. It's been a work in progress. So the first season was literally me just like dumping everything out. Like it is, here's what I'm learning. Here's what I went through with therapy. Here's this, here's that. So it's not like this super organized. It can be a little all over the place. It's raw and it's real that first season. And so then I took a step back because I was like, okay, not everyone wants to go that deep yet. And they're not there and it's hard to get them there. And also like things cost money. So I'm like, okay, I'm paying to get this podcast done. But at the time I was turning down any type of sponsorship offers because my biggest thing was like, until I know what a brand stands for, they were trying to sell to or where they were going, I was like, I don't feel right telling women, hey, alcohol was a lie, this, and this, but here's this amazing new product when you still can't fully tell me everything that's in your product. Or if we're going to big alcohol, if your goal is to sell to big alcohol, which fine, if that's why you got in the game, that's why you got in the game. But like, how can I, with a good conscience, tell people this is a better alternative when in 5 to 10 years, who knows what alcohol is putting in it? Like I'm not here to just transition people to the next numbing, addictive item. And I don't think hemp beverages are at their core, but I think when the wrong industries control them, I think they will be not great. But so then season 2, I brought in a co-host with me, and she has ADHD, neurodivergent, e-commerce background. She's amazing. And we had fun. Her and I were all over the place. We interviewed other like women in cannabis, like with different things, not like your massive celebrity women in cannabis, but like the women doing the real things, like, and just talking about it and how we've used it and this and that. And it was good, but again, it was like, where is this going? And so we ended that season. So season 2 ended in December of this past year, 24.
Okay.
And Brittany, my co-host, and I were like, let's take a break. Like, we don't know why. This isn't going exactly where we want it to go, and we don't know what it is yet. And we both had different focuses. So she opened a brick and mortar place in Des Moines that's all for like arts and crafts, neurodivergent. It's amazing. It's called the Glitter Factory. Anyone in the Midwest needs to check it out. It's so amazing. And that's when I decided to open Cali Sober Market, which is everything but booze. So I combined essentially like a head shop of what's still legal in Louisiana, but like not in a traditional head shop way. We don't have bongs, vapes, anything like that. It's just well-vetted edibles and well-vetted beverages. And then the entire non-alcoholic scene, because the same time I've been networking so far in cannabis and hemp, I've been doing the same thing in the non-alc space, because to me, that's where the two really come together. And that's where I see health and wellness and the two areas that should be combining, not hemp and alcohol, not hemp and tobacco. Right. I think it needs to be hemp and your wellness, your non-alc, your functional mushrooms. That's where I see it going and where it should go. And so that's what my space is. And we might bring the podcast back. There's been some talks, but that was kind of the adjustment period. And we've been open 3.5 months now. We opened March 5th.
Girl, I am so proud of you.
I am a bar owner's wife in one of the booziest cities that opened a non-alcoholic bottle shop in probably the most conservative neighborhood in Louisiana. Like Steve Scalise, your Republican head, he goes to the church a mile from this area. Your Supreme Court Justice, Amy Coney Barrett, her family lives like half a mile away. Like this this is what I'm opening, guys.
I used to live in the 1100 block of Bourbon Street.
Yeah.
I had so much fun. Oh, my glory, girl. I love New Orleans so much.
You did.
And I'm originally from Tulsa. I'm
okay.
So, yeah. And
yeah.
I love New Orleans so much.
New Orleans can be such an amazing time.
It has got to be one of the wildest cities on the planet. But it's also so steeped in amazing history and amazing ingenuity and creativity and forward thinking. So,
and community. That's what I feel like people will never fully understand. Not even just New Orleans, Louisiana in general. Yes, we have our issues. Do not get me wrong. There are a lot of bad things here, but there is a community sense in a way that you don't experience until you've lived and given yourself to this city. Yeah. And it's amazing. Like I always call it Midwest nice. We're like, hi, right? Yeah. We'll wave at everyone. We'll say hi. But here it's like you stand in line at the grocery store. You're going to know what they're making for dinner. You might get an invite to dinner. You're going to like know who this person, know this person. And then if anything's needed, there's no questions asked. Like drop like the help, the selflessness when it comes to like your community. It's just, it's beautiful. It really is.
I had friends, I had family in Slidell until the hurricane took their home away, and Metairie and, areas, Medford and areas around there. But it's a wonderful culture down there and so different than any other place on the planet.
And it's also why I want to fight so hard for it, because my kids are born and raised here now, right? Like, even though I'm from Iowa and it will always be special, like this is now, my husband's businesses are here. My business is now here. My kids are born here. My kids are raised here. They're going to be here. And the more I'm learning, and I want to preface this, if anyone from Louisiana is listening, this is not a blanket statement by any means. But if you look at our education levels, our healthcare levels, our poverty levels, any of those things, sorry, I don't know what that did behind me, but whatever. They don't happen by accident. And that's the more I'm learning as I dive into the legislative part that's happening around this is it's weaponized policy to keep
Sure.
a very select few in extreme levels of power, and what it takes from the rest to do that without people fully realizing it. It's crushing me. And that's what I want to fight for. I want to fight for all the people of Louisiana to have a chance at good education, good health care, not be just born and bred into the prison system. So yeah, it like all just starts tying together when you really start looking at it, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I love your mission, and I love your passion and energy too, honey.
Thanks.
Tell me, are you using like boutique farmers for sourcing for your gummies and your hemp products in your store?
I'm
And,
not. Go ahead.
and part two,
Okay.
are you using nanotechnology in any of your products?
Okay. So I am very limited on what I get to choose, because this is why I started getting so vocal, is because Louisiana was the first to do what I call the playbook, going state by state for them to give full control over hemp in the South. So up until June of 2024, there were a few limitations in terms of like how many or milligrams per serving, but that was really it. And you could go to the brand yourself and stock it and have it, whatever. They changed all of that. So now there's two levels of corruption. The first level is called the processor clause. And so you have to either hold an in-state processor license. You have to, if your processing is done out of state, they have to apply to submit applications on behalf of these brands. They have to apply to be an approved out-of-state processor.
Okay.
So then once you have a processor that will submit you, that's the only way now to approve or submit to the Louisiana Department of Health. Brands used to be able to submit their labels and their COAs to the Louisiana Department of Health to get approved to be sold in the state. But now there's that extra processor clause. And the in-state processors that are already licensed are like, we don't want competition. So they're not helping anybody. And then out-of-state people are like, that's too, like, basically they're saying that's too corrupt.
Too many hoops.
We're just not going to deal with it, because even if you then get submitted and approved, you have to be carried by a distributor. So you can
money.
Yes. And so we went ahead. I just got approved. I got my own distributor's license. So now we can distribute on behalf of a brand. So if a brand really wanted to be carried at Cali Sober Market, if they can get through the processor clause, then we can act as their distributor until they decide if they really want a hard launch in Louisiana, because we're not a full-time distributor, but distributors are blocking out brands to handpick who's in the state and who's not, which is basically who's going to do what they say and who's not.
Oh, Monica.
So I'm very limited. Like, let's say, I think there's like 500 hemp beverages on the market, right?
Okay.
I think there's 40 that are approved for in-state right now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's really bad. And so I have to weigh what's approved versus what do I know about them as a company? Where are they sourcing? What are their goals? Who are they partnering with? And there's very specific brands I've said I will not carry. And yeah, it's made it very difficult in terms of like what I can physically get to carry in the state. So I don't even get to like necessarily handpick boutique or niche, or I'm going on who's willing to play the corrupt, dirty game, but who still has a backbone behind them and isn't just for the money. And so that's really the fine line and very limited choices. So right now I want to say I have about 45 beverage SKUs in the thing. And then in terms of like edibles, for edibles, tinctures, and that in terms of THC and CBD, right now I'm carrying only 3 brands, and they are Louisiana woman-owned companies. So they have fought the fight. They've done the things. One of them suing the state right now when everyone else said, oh, we're going to hold off. We don't know what's going to happen. They're suing anyway. And so I do. Of course, I want to expand. I want to have this massive selection. I want to bring in all the things I love. But I'm
Do you
really
ship out of
limited.
state?
I'm not shipping right now.
Okay.
So legally, I think I can, based on that state's, I should say, not I think. Legally, I can, based on the hemp retailer permit that I have. I would have to follow each state's specific guidelines for shipping. So I'm not right now. As of right now, it's like, this is for my community. This is where all my focus needs to be. I don't want to be this massive e-commerce brand. Because I mean, come on, like, why do they need to ship it to me, then ship it to someone else? Like, it just seems counterintuitive to me. Not saying that we won't do it. We will, obviously. Like, I have an MBA. I'm a business person. Like, I can get the things done. It just wasn't the main goal. I want to get my community educated and alternatives and talk to them about it. But even then, like, I wouldn't even say THC, CBD is my biggest seller at the market right now. Like, everyone's really dipping their toe into to the like harm reduction. Like, let me learn about these functional beverages. Let me learn about this. So it's this, we're not just hemp and that. It's like, yeah, that's part of us and we educate on that. But the people coming in they're wanting both. And so they're really trying to start, and was my goal, like their holistic healthcare, right? Not just, okay, what's going to give me a buzz tonight? It's, okay, we're going to have to start looking at some harder things, guys. Like, why do I keep gaining weight? Why is my blood pressure high? Why am I anxious? Why am I depressed? Like, my products aren't just going to be a quick Band-Aid fix, solve everything. They're great for helping you adjust and pivot and learn. But we're going to have to start looking at the root causes, which is the goal to get people to.
We've been programmed to believe that a prescription can generally do the trick in about 10 days.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, and if not, come back and get something different.
Yeah.
So we've been conditioned as Americans, for convenience. So if you're not snappy and getting the job done in, the short amount of time that, my patience lasts, then I'm going to go elsewhere. Yeah.
And learning and changing is hard. It's not a quick dopamine fix at all. And we're trained on, like you said, quick, easy dopamine. And yeah, so, but it's a whole, I mean, it's a way of life change, and that's hard because then you've got to start, once you question one thing, it's hard not to question everything.
Start unraveling that thing.
And not many people are ready to unravel, which I get it. I get it. My husband's the same way. I love him dearly. He's not ready to fully unravel, and that's okay. Like, everyone has to do what's right for them, but there needs to be alternative options available that aren't restricted or full of additives, or there just has to be options and education available. Come on, people.
Has to be.
Yeah.
And learning how to use the plant safely and effectively and efficiently for each individual's needs, because everybody's different, is as easy as putting butter and syrup on pancakes.
Oh my God, I love you.
Take the time to invest in your own education so that you can take care of your own health without being practiced on by big pharma.
Yeah. One of the books I read, it was a sobriety book. But one of the things she said in it was, what do you want the last decade of your life to look like? Because, as we're eating this food and we're drinking these drinks and we're taking this and we're doing this, like, it's hard to see that it has a compounding effect. Like, you think, oh, I can still do this, I'm fine. Oh, I can still do this, I'm fine. But I look around at a lot of the folks aging and what they're going through, and I'm like, they can't get out of their house. They can't go for a walk. They can't, my couch is too low. They can't sit down on my couch.
Can't get up.
And I'm like, man, I had kids later in life, right? Like 34 and 36. Like, I want to be doing things with my kids. And I started thinking about like all that alcohol I had consumed. I'm like, what if that catches up to me when I'm 60? Like, do you want your 60s to be miserable? Do you want your 70s to be miserable? And then I was like, And oh my God, what if this is the last decade of my life? What if something happens? Was this like amazing? And that has just like changed me and the way I want to, like, I'm not perfect. I'm definitely harm reduction, but it really just has, when I keep that in my mind, like, what compounding effect does this have? Is it for good or is it for bad? And what is that going to look like down the road? Instead of just being like, that's future Monica's problem, but also not like diet culture is, where you've got to be perfect or you fell off the wagon or that. It's like trying to find that like flow
Keep
that works
balance.
for you. Yeah.
Yeah. Instead of that mythical place where we're supposed to be in our heads, but aren't ever.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And cannabis can help us get there, can help us settle down all that anxiety about who we think we're supposed to be, settle down all that negative chatter looping in our minds constantly, settle down that anxiety from the unknown, the fear of the unknown, the fear of aging, the fear of being sick.
Yes.
I think you have come upon something that's really going to help your community, because you're using it. You've got your story. You did it for your community, and your intentions are to stay right there and hold their hands through their own discovery process.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
And that's the goal. And I felt like, I'll tell people all the time, like, I am privileged. There is no denying that. And there's nothing that I can do about it. It's the world I found myself in, right? But when I realized everything that was happening, and that I could talk about it because I won't lose my job. Like, I don't have a job to lose or to get fired from. My husband's very comfortable in his business. I'd saved up a lot of money. Like, I really, like, I care about my standing in my social community because I want to be an upstanding, good person. But I don't care in the sense if anyone wants to judge me just because I'm not like them. Like, if I'm doing something wrong, judge me. But if someone wants to judge me because I'm trying to do better for the people, that doesn't bother me at all. And so it was all those things that came together, and it was like, okay, I can be a leading example. I can be the face of it. I can take the brunt of it, because if they want to say that moms who use it are lazy, okay, how am I lazy? I've started now 2 businesses. I have 3 kids under the age of 4. I take care of my family. Show me how I'm lazy. Or if they want to say they're tatted up or they're alternative or they're this and that, like, I am everything that they don't want me to be. And so that I was just like, this is what I can do with that privilege. And the time, I don't have a lot of time. And so this is what I could do, and hope to, you help one person, they help another. You help that person helps. And so thank you for just saying that, because it is the goal.
Well, acknowledging your accomplishments is one of the things that furthers our own epiphanies. Oh my glory, look what I've just done. Oh my goodness, I did all that? You sure did, big girl. You did all that, and you're going forward with it still. This is what women rising looks like. Monica.
No.
Does.
And we just
how can our audience get in touch with you, honey? Where can we find you physically? Tell us where to find you physically and how to get to you through the ether.
Okay, so physically, I am technically located in Metairie, which is half a mile from the New Orleans city line. So Cali Sober Market, we're the only ones. You can Google it, you can find it. So if you're ever in Louisiana, please come see me. And if you're on the internet, I'm a little bit of everywhere. But the main website for the market is Cali Sober Market. Where I'm most active on my advocacy and really speaking out against the systems is on LinkedIn. And so you can find me there. And then Instagram is more the fun social side of trying to make using cannabis in lieu of alcohol, or just even using, cannabis on its own, more socially acceptable, less stigmatized, fun, educational. All that's on Instagram under Cali Sober Market or Cali Sober Mom.
That's wonderful. I just can't thank you enough for being here and helping us all see what a woman coming up in this industry looks like. I love highlighting women
Thank you.
because it's what we're doing is so important. We're changing our society.
Yeah.
And we're doing it by lifting women in particular
Mm-hmm.
and helping the guys see that it doesn't have to be that way.
Doesn't have to be that way.
Have to be that way. Yeah. We can all be happy, a little more peaceful, a little different way than all that warring and all of that aggression and all of that anger. Doesn't have to be that way.
No one needs to be the top dog, man. No one needs to have the highest sales numbers. It's a plan to help people. It shouldn't be who can post the best customer acquisition cost or who's getting this distributor contract. Like,
Right.
it's ridiculous.
Ridiculous. Yeah. And so these undulating legislative restrictions are going around the globe, really, as cannabis is trying to rise again from the prohibition of the past 100 years. So as soon as our audience begins to take just a tiny peek at the history of cannabis, it's going to piss them off to see and understand how we've been gaslit about this plant. And that will also in turn give them the courage to investigate further and try for themselves. And now, my friends, you can pick up your own products at Cali Sober Market in Metairie, New Orleans, a absolutely wonderful place. I've been in Metairie before, and also online. What's the URL of the? What's your?
Go ahead. It's Cali Sober Market. So CALI sobermarket.com.
That's it. Okay, honey. Thank you for being here. Will you come back with us again
anytime? I will. You can call me daily. I need this energy and love in my life.
All righty. Well, I know you are a busy woman, especially with twins and a third one. And I am just so in awe of everything that you're doing. It sounds like you've got a great spouse who supports you too. I'm proud for you for that.
Yes.
Right, honey.
He's amazing. I picked well. I did one thing really well in life, really well. And I picked a good partner. I picked a great partner.
That's great. Well, the best of wishes to you, and we'll see you on the other side of this. And thank you again for being here at the Cannabis Truth Podcast.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You've been listening to another Cannabis Truth Podcast with 21st century cannabis shaman Honey Smith Walls. Using cannabis mindfully as medication is a different concept in Western healthcare philosophy, specifically over the past century. There's a lot to learn and reconsider. The scientific truth of cannabis is finally getting out and is wide open for all to see at respected medical sites like the National Library of Medicine at pubmed.gov and the Journal of American Medical Association at JAMAnetwork.com. We here at the Cannabis Truth Podcast are right there in the thick of it, alongside the titans of medicine, as a fly on the wall. We are not doctors, nor did we go to medical school, but we have taken dozens of private cannabis courses and still engage in continuing education offered by expert cannabis scientists. Over the past few years, we slowly began to see and understand the bigger picture. Now we hear from people all day long about cannabis. It is so important to use verifiably safe products. The process of getting a diagnosis from your family doctor and taking your records to a cannabis specialist can lead you to the correct cannabinoid therapy for your specific issues. Otherwise, you're simply your own guinea pig looking for answers without the foundational knowledge or ability to determine your best strategy. To find a qualified cannabis expert in your area, visit cannabisclinicians.org. This is a national society of cannabis experts. Look for the link in the show notes. Unless otherwise proven by a reputable third-party lab test, please regard all street weed as contaminated. It may do grave harm to a patient with a delicate immune system who already has inflammatory issues like arthritis, IBS, fibromyalgia, or worse. Thank you so much for your time today. I hope you find value and understanding through the conversations you've heard on this podcast.
A quick shout out to Nathan Pierce and Daniel Rome of the 406 Budcast and their brilliant tech goddesses who created what you're about to hear next.
She walked in with wisdom and a fire in her eyes, talking plant truth where the silence lies. From the roots to the bloom, she saw the light. Now she's teaching folks how to heal it right. Not afraid to challenge the tale of lazy myths and a system that failed. She's got science in one hand, stories in the other. Lifts up the voices they tried to smother. Honey knows, honey grows. Truth in the soil and love in the smoke. Speaking for the elders and the ones left behind. She's the shaman of the leaf with a warrior's mind. Yeah, honey knows how the healing flows. From Florida sun to digital waves, she's breaking down fear with every word she says. Cannabis truth, that's her battle cry. For the mamas and papas still scared to try. She ain't selling hype, she's serving facts. Taking big pharma to school with class. With a mic and a mission, she lights the way for the lost and the curious every day. Honey knows, honey grows. Truth in the bud and peace in the dose. Teaching the plant like a sacred art. From the ECS to the beating heart. Yeah, honey knows. Honey healing flows. She's been burned by the system, lifted by the plant, giving voice to the ones who thought they can. A sister, a sage in a world